Hi, I'm Nick Dragotta, and I'm in the stacks at Third Eye Comics. So the first book I'm going to choose in the stacks is Alex Toth's Genius Illustrated. This is basically an artist edition of the best of Toth comics and some of his illustration work. And it's a Bible for good cartooning and good comic art. The Genius Illustrated, you know, we throw that word around a lot, but there was no one more genius in comics and what you can do with just black and white. So Toth is my guy, and this is a study guide in comic books. Be it his Hot Wheels story, be it his war stories, be it his creepy, eerie, sci-fi stuff like survival, all different styles, different tools, just a master at creating comic books. And Mark Trello has a really good quote about Toth. He said, we can study Toth, we can try and be Toth, but you reach a point where you just realize you'll never be Alex Toth. There's only one. He's truly a genius. And if you like comic book art, this is a book you should have in your collection. Next, we're going to go Batman Year One as the artist of absolute Batman. I don't think there's a better example of what a Batman story can be, and this is my favorite Batman story. I like Dark Knight Returns a lot too, but David Mazzucchelli, Frank Miller, I mean, there's such a grounded reality in this book, and it all goes through David Mazzucchelli's cartooning. Like Toth, he strips it down to the essential and what the most important bits are to draw in a panel, and less is always more. And there's just such beautiful moments in this book. The violence hits hard, the quiet moments hit hard. This is just a perfect merging of words and pictures. And just Mazzucchelli is one of my favorites. So then if you can even track down some of his rubber blanket work, you can find Big Man, which is a story of a guy in the country, this kind of big lug that becomes a hero, and he takes even what he was doing here in Year One even further, and then on to Asterios Polyp, which is a story about a twin, and I'm a twin, so that story kind of hit hard. But then again, like Toth, constantly evolving, changes his style, and just a master of the medium. And then when you pair Mazzucchelli with Frank Miller, game over. I mean, this is just a classic. So on that theme of killer cartoonists and storytellers, one of my favorite comics of all time is Grendel, Devils and Deaths. Now, this is very hard to find, but you can find it in some of the Grendel omnibuses, or if you want to go through the long boxes, you can find it. So Grendel, Devils and Deaths by Eddie Bukovic and Darko Macon. Eddie Bukovic unfortunately passed early, I think at 30. And like Toth, like Mazzucchelli, was just an incredible cartoonist and storyteller. And I'm really big on just how characters can move through the page and the gesture and how realistic that it can be. And I don't think there's a better example of that in this book. And some of the moments in this book hit so hard and have so much soul. It's only 2 issues long, but I promise you it's a gut punch. And it is some of the most beautiful art you've ever seen. And just like cartooning of like just a guy smoking a cigarette, you know, things like that. Just absolutely fantastic. But then when he gets to the violence, you feel it. Yeah, Eddie Bukovic, Grendel, Devils and Deaths. It's in the end of this Grendel omnibus, volume 5. So go find it. Get the back issues if you can, though. Excellent stuff. And then Michel Sanlavville's Banana Soul. Love this comic. Like everything else I've shown before, perfect merging of words and pictures. I love sports comics when they do it right. And this is, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name, Michel, but he creates a new game called Soul. Like it's a mixture of rugby and football and kind of like golf because it's played in different locales with different obstacles. And the way he displays information, like think about that. He's giving us a brand new sport that we have to understand. And how an artist or cartoonist like Michel does this, I don't know. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's about this character, Helena, who kind of finds herself in this sport and becomes a true leader. And it's just beautiful moments, beautiful cartooning, beautiful action, just killer stuff. Let's see, and let's go to one of my favorite comics of all time. You're probably rolling your eyes as I hold this book, but Berserk is absolutely maybe one of the greatest comic books ever made. Kentaro Miura, sorry if I'm mispronouncing the name. He unfortunately left us early also during the making of this book. And I liken this to how we in America talk about Jack Kirby. If you look at the start of this book, you can see a cartoonist kind of finding himself. And then he hits a point where the character designs, the villains, the story, it just goes so big and beyond. I mean, this is probably one of the greatest examples of what a comic book can be. You have your character Guts, the black swordsman, and he goes up against who once was, I don't want to ruin it, but there's Griffin, and their turn, when you get to, I believe it's volume 11 or 12, and you get into the God Hand part, it's mind-blowing. You're going to question life, reality as you know it. This is the power of comics. And this is why Berserk is just beloved all over the world, absolutely. If you haven't read this yet, I implore you to go get these volumes and read this. And stick with it, because you will be blown away, I promise. Let's see, in the Lily. Oh, let's see. So one of my favorite cartoonists, Taiyo Matsumoto, Tokyo These Days, going back to just drawing gesture. I love looking at Matsumoto's work because it's always a reminder of just to relax and draw life, like draw from life. Those are the moments as a cartoonist we really want to capture. And I think readers can then identify with these characters and be like, yeah, I've taken a sip of a drink like that. I walk down those streets. I notice that kind of reality. And then you can pull the reader into the read. And I don't think anyone does it better than Taiyo Matsumoto. And Tokyo These Days is his latest work we've gotten here in America about a group of a manga artist and a manga editor who retires and then wants to come back for one last book. And he captures what it's like to be a cartoonist working and all our insecurities, and most of that is done through the drawing. And it's very touching stuff. It's beautiful, it's quiet, no action. But if you like insider industry stuff and just beautiful drawing and relationships, this is the comic. Taiyo Matsumoto, Tokyo These Days. It's impossible to choose any one of these books. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking of a million more. But get out to your local comic shop, bookstore, and dive in the comics.